Hey, long time no see. This is a pretty hefty studio vlog, so I'm excited to sit down and, experience this with you guys. It's mainly ceramics. I did a lot of wheel throwing, and this is like the very intro stage of my work. So ceramics is a really long process, and this is like step one, is like kind of throwing all the work, getting it ready. So everything is going to be greenware. Nothing is going in the kiln yet. But yeah, I wanted to share like these beginning stages because I feel like they're kind of like the ugliest bits. Like no one really realizes how much work it is to like get to that initial stage of firing and having it come out like really pretty, hopefully. So yeah, I've been busy, as you can see, probably behind me. And I'm excited to share some of this work with you guys. I've been trying to explore some new forms and just push myself a little bit. And I recently got a new clay body as well. So I'm trying to finish what I have of my old clay body, and then I'm gonna switch. But yeah, I'm excited to be back on YouTube and, making content. I really enjoy watching studio vlogs while I'm working. So I hope you guys can find some enjoyment in this hefty one too. But yeah, that's kind of all I've got for an intro. So I'll see you on the other side. Hey, it's Meg. I wanted to do a voiceover and kind of explain what I'm doing in this video and also just kind of talk about like life lately. I guess I'll start with what I'm doing because it's kind of violent. So I'm destroying the very first ceramic pieces that I made at my home. I don't think I've ever talked about this before, but basically I took ceramics in college for about 2 years, 2 semesters, and I really liked it. I really fell in love with it, and I didn't expect to. It caught me by surprise in the best and worst way. And I ended up spending the next 2 to 3 years of college, maybe even 4 actually, saving up for ceramic supplies, so like a kiln, a wheel, clay, glazes, etc. And this was the first clay body that I bought, and I really didn't like it. It had a lot of grog in it, which at the time I didn't know what that was, but it's basically like sand and grit. And I also was just experimenting with a ton of glazes, and they didn't quite work out. So I decided that those pieces were better off not in existence than trying to sell them, and some of them were literally damaged. So like the glaze ended up crazing or crawling, and it wasn't food safe. And yeah, so sometimes that happens, and I feel like there's more failure in ceramics than a lot of other mediums, which makes me question why the heck I keep coming back to it. But I don't know. I've spent all this money and I'm stuck with it now. So here I decided, let's just start fresh. I cracked open my sketchbook. I was like, you know what? We're gonna take a deep breath. We're gonna come up with some ideas. We're gonna plan this out. We're gonna be methodical about it. And hopefully I'll have less failures this time. So yeah, that's what you guys are watching me do here, is kind of plan out these new forms and think about what I want to make. There's a lot of planning in ceramics, which I feel like is one of the initial big draws that I have to it. Is I'm a big planner. I like planning out everything from my day-to-day life to my projects, what I'm gonna do. I'm definitely one of those 5-year plan people. I love Notion. I feel like a lot of artists use Notion. My Notion is stacked to the nines with all of my plans in all areas of my life. So yeah, I really enjoy the sketchbook process and, you know, coming up with ideas that are a little bit more low risk. Like, I'm not using any of my ceramic materials. I'm just using a pencil and paper, and it's just easier for me to like think through things and think about what I want to do. And you'll see, like, I don't end up creating everything that I draw in here, and that's totally normal and totally fine. It's kind of just like a safe place for me to explore forms, you know, think some things out, and especially when you're working like in a 3D realm, like gravity is a thing and trying to work around like the physics of everything that you're making kind of can take some brain power sometimes too. But yeah, as you can see, I'm really into mugs. They're probably my favorite thing to make right now. I feel like the cylinder is like the start of pretty much everything that you make on the wheel. So I'm trying to really practice that and get better with making consistent cylinders. And what better way to do that than by making a ton of mugs. Mugs also sell really well, and I'm really interested in doing a market. Now, I'm super scared. Like, just the idea of putting myself, like, probably alone in a giant market space and like trying to get people to buy my stuff and like interacting with people all day. I'm quite introverted, which might sound like an oxymoron because here I am on YouTube like recording a voiceover, but I'm super introverted, and like to have to be in a space and socialize all day, and especially like in such a vulnerable way where I'm like, hey, here's this thing that I spent hours and hours and so much money on. Like, do you like it? Will you buy it? Like, oh, it just like gives me anxiety, but I think it would be really good for me to do. Plus, I can't like keep all of these mugs that I'm making. I have to do something with them. So in this like design page that I'm doing in my sketchbook, I'm really trying to think of like kind of like the market vibe and what I want to put out on my table. So not only what would be fun for me to make, because that's like priority number one, is like, what do I want to make? What feels good to me? What do I want to put out into the world? And then priority number two is like, do I think this will sell? And I really want to try to keep those priorities in that order, because I feel like from watching a lot of other studio vloggers and artists that I see on the internet, those lines between making what you want and making what will sell can get really blurry, and that's definitely something that I'm fearful of. But I'm pretty small right now. Like, I don't have a big internet following. I've never shown in a gallery. I've never done a market before. So like, I think going in with that awareness now, that I have that awareness now, is a good thing. Here I'm just weighing out my clay. I'm gonna throw some mugs in these clips, these following clips. So I like to weigh out my clay so it's all consistent, and I'm able to kind of control like the size and feel of my product as I'm putting it out. I usually do about 500 grams for mugs. I don't know if that's like right or wrong or like the standard or whatever, but it works for me. And I am using a high fire or mid fire stoneware. I believe this clay is actually from Kentucky Mud Works. It's the Tony Beaver clay, which I absolutely love, but it's pretty expensive, so I just switched clay bodies. I do not have a ceramic store near me, so like any clay that I buy, I have to pay for shipping too, and obviously clay is like mad heavy, so shipping is literally so expensive. So yeah, I really love this clay body, but I did have to switch, and I haven't tried it yet, but once I get through this Tony Beaver stuff, I'm excited to try the new clay body. And here I'm setting up my wheel. I'm so lucky that I have a wheel and honestly a space in my house that I can do this. Like, it took me years to accumulate this stuff, so I definitely don't want people to watch this and think that I just like got this all on a whim. Like, when COVID first started is when I like seriously started looking into buying all of this, and I was working multiple jobs during COVID. Actually, I was fortunate enough not to get laid off from any of them, so I used a lot of that time, and I did a lot of Facebook Marketplace scrounging and bought almost all of my stuff secondhand. The wheel is new, but it's the cheapest Shrimpo wheel that they have. It's not the Whisper, it's the one before that. The VL Lite. I just turned around and looked. But it's a really nice wheel. And honestly, it's quiet. I don't know how quiet the Whisper is, but like the noise of this wheel doesn't bother me at all. And I have a great time with it. But yeah, I'm gonna take a break from talking, I think, a little bit, because this is a hefty vlog. And I'm gonna let you guys just enjoy, the process of me throwing, and just kind of take a breather before I come back. So yeah, enjoy. Welcome back. This is the following day, and we're gonna start off with a bang here in a minute. I'm trying to do some trimming, and I'm using this method where you attach your piece with water to the bare wheel. And as you can see, sometimes you get really unlucky and it slips. I was really mad about this cup because it was the only wave cup I had made, and of course it slipped off the wheel. But I managed to kind of like fix it a little bit. It's definitely not even. I mean, you can see in the video, like, it's wobbling a lot more than it was before, which is fine. But I fixed it the best that I could, and I reattached it using the water method and kept trimming. I ended up using the sponge to like get rid of resistance of like my fingers against the top, which I don't think you're supposed to do, but honestly it worked for me in the moment. But yeah, trimming is definitely, next to glazing, it's one of my least favorite things to do with ceramics, because I just feel like there's no good way to trim. Maybe I'm just bad at it right now, but I used to attach my pieces with additional bits of clay, and I would like kind of use them on the sides of whatever I had made, in this case a mug, and I would press them into the wheel on the side of the mug so it would like hold it there, kind of like a tripod, and then that would dent the sides of my cup. So then I started using the water method, which basically you just wet the base of the wheel and then create a suction by putting your mug face down or rim down on the wheel head, and there's like this pocket of air that keeps it sucked to the wheel while it's in motion. But it's never guaranteed, and I was like, of course I caught that mistake on video. But after I trimmed this cup up, I actually went at it a little bit more and fixed it up a little bit around the rim, and then I decided to dent it a little more on purpose, just to like, I don't know, I didn't want to get rid of it because I really liked the form, but it wasn't, you could tell that something had happened to it. So I ended up pressing my fingers into the side of the shape and making it look like really pillowy and soft, kind of like a big down comforter. I'll insert a picture right here of what it looks like now, pre-firing. But yeah, I'm really excited for how it turned out, actually, and I'm hoping that the glaze looks good on top, because sometimes with ceramics you just gotta go with whatever the clay is deciding to do. It doesn't always do what you want it to do, and I feel like there's a lot of give and take between you and the clay itself. And now I'm rolling out some handles. There's a couple different ways that you can make handles. I don't love the traditional method of throwing or pulling handles, so I tend to just roll out coils like so and trim them up. As you can see, it's not perfect. There's like dents from my fingers in the clay and stuff like that, but it generally works for me. If you have a better way of making handles, I would love to hear about it, because I like the round, thick handles. I don't like the like D-shaped handles, if that makes sense, where they're kind of like a curved cylindrical form on the outside and then they have the flat inside. I don't love how those look, even though they feel really nice in your hand, so I generally lean towards like the coil method. This cup I have here is actually a really unusual form. I was just like trying to do something hard, honestly, and I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I like it, but I'm gonna fire it. It's gonna come into existence here. So I gave it a special handle, It looks very like Disney futuristic-esque, like I don't know how to describe it, but hopefully it looks good when it's done. It's definitely a unique shape. And then for this cup, I decided to do a little ball handle. So I don't think you guys have really seen this yet from me, but a lot of my work is related to mental and physical illnesses. So whether you can see them, you can see the effect of an illness on somebody or not, I like to kind of exaggerate those biological aspects like cells, cell structures, x-rays, like basically all the medical illustrations that you get with a diagnosis or an experience of an illness. I like to try and bring those into my art and kind of have a conversation around it. So I like to play with like cartoonish germs, and this mug was definitely giving me that vibe of just like having like this style that I'm so attached to. So I ended up giving it a little sphere handle and kind of making it look like a little germ thing. I'm really glad I'm doing this voiceover because it's making me realize how much better I need to be at talking about my own art. So hopefully I'll get better at that with time, but yeah, I don't know how functional this handle is going to be. I really like how it looks. I think it looks very unique, and the handle like fits very well with the wave form of the mug, and that it's going to draw attention to this cup and make it stand out amongst a cupboard of other cups. But I don't know how nice it's going to be to hold, especially when your beverage is like super, super hot and you can't actually touch the side of the mug. So we'll see, but I like the idea. Maybe it's a cold beverage only mug. Is that a thing? Can it be a thing? I'm not sure, but I like this idea. I'm excited to push it more. And so far, I think this is my favorite mug to come out of like what I've been making so far. It feels the most me. It feels the most unique. I have no idea what I'm gonna glaze it yet. Something bright colored for sure, I think. I would love to do like a really brightly colored textural outside and then have that ball handle be a completely contrasting color to make it stick out. Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. I think it's gonna turn out really cute. I also made some mini espresso cups in this style that I feel like probably will be a little bit more functional because it won't be as like hot when in use. They're different. The mug body is a different form. It's more like volcano shaped, but those turned out really cute too. And just imagining them as a set, I think it'd be really nice together. So I'll probably end up making more of these as long as this handle works out. You can see it's kind of starting to take shape a little bit more here, and I'm just going in and like adding some depth to my fingerprints with that little ball tool. And we're back to the boring handles. But more functional, probably. I made some circular handles because I've made some in the past, and I do tend to like a smaller circular handle up towards the top of a mug. I think that looks really nice. These I wasn't crazy about for some reason. I stuck them on anyways because like, I think I'm just picky. I always want everything to be perfect, and I always want it to like give me that amazing feeling of like, this is the best thing I've ever created. And I think I really have to come to terms with the fact that like a lot of the stuff that I make is not going to give me that feeling, and it might not ever, and it might give me that feeling later, who knows. But like, I think I just need to calm down a little bit and like not be so precious with my work and just make things to make them, and you know, like obviously put thought into them and like design and make sure it's quality work, but also like not procrastinate so hard because I know it won't be perfect, if that makes sense. I feel like that was a really jumbled way of explaining it, but I just need to like chill out a bit with my expectation for myself and my work and just focus on making stuff so I can learn, because I'm never going to get better if I just procrastinate or destroy all my stuff, because it's not going to be enjoyable for me to create. So my ceramics have come a long way. Like maybe I'll do a video in the future showing you guys of like the very first things that I made, because I still have a couple of them and God, they are chunky. So these are like really, it's really cool to see how far I've come in the past couple of years. And I know I can be better, but I think I also have to stop and remember like how far I've come already too, and just go a little bit easier on myself. Now that I'm watching this footage back, it actually doesn't look as bad as I like initially felt about it in the clip. I feel like it's not terrible. Plus like glaze changes everything for better or for worse. So like when I glaze fire all this stuff, it's gonna look so different. Hopefully in a good way. My kiln is really big, which is awesome, but I haven't had a lot of opportunity to glaze test because it takes a lot of energy to fire. So I'm kind of like taking a shot in the dark with all my glazes right now. I have a lot of stroke and coat, so I think for a lot of the work that I'm making in this video, I'm gonna just do stroke and coat from Mako, because like you pretty much know what it's gonna look like. It's not like a glaze combination or something that's a little bit more unpredictable. So I think I'm gonna go with things that I know will be okay and do a bunch of glaze tests on the side when I do this next glaze firing. I still have so much to learn, and I think that's part of like what's super scary about like starting this journey and like putting it on the internet, is just like I know my work's not going to be perfect and I might hate it in a couple of years, but I honestly just need to learn to be okay with that. And I don't know, maybe it'll be a nice record to look back at this someday and be like, wow, like I thought my stuff was pretty decent then, but like now look where I am. I think that would be a cool moment. But yeah, this is actually the wrap up of the video. So I'm gonna leave you with this super aesthetic shot of me slipping and scoring this handle on, and I'll see you in the outro. that's it. That's all I got. So I hope you guys enjoyed this studio vlog. I really enjoyed like kind of documenting the process, and I'm excited to do more in the future. So yeah, if you liked this video, please hit that thumbs up button. And if you didn't like it, just don't tell me. Maybe leave a comment if you've got any constructive feedback for me on like shooting videos. I'm new to this, so I don't really know what I'm doing. But yeah, maybe tell me what you had for breakfast. We can have a little combo in the comments. I'll definitely see it because like nobody watches these anyways, so yeah. Thanks for watching if you are here and you made it through the whole video. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.